So Tesla has unveiled last week two cheaper versions of the Model 3 and the Model Y. This is something we've been expecting for a long time. They've done it by value engineering down to a price point. Analysts aren't excited about the changes. I think it leaves all of us wanting more, but they've made one decision that, hard to believe it saved any money. I think it's a long-term problem, and honestly, I think it's just kind of hilarious. Welcome back to All Cars Reacts to Tesla News. My name is John, and Tesla's been talking about a less expensive car for a long time. We all expected it to be called the Model 2, and they were originally aiming for something like a $25,000 car. That they finally admitted they were not going to be pursuing. They were not going to be developing a new car, primarily for the volume they could get from it, not having the profit margin built into it. But instead, they were going to focus on their self-driving taxi. Not sure I agree with that, but wasn't my decision. But what they did do is they did take their Model 3 and their Model Y and value engineer it down to reduce the prices. What I'm going to do today is talk a little bit about what some of those changes are of any real substance in that one thing that's been covered but absolutely driving me up the wall. So these two new standard editions are now called Standard, and they've renamed the rear-wheel drive, like the long range is now the Premium. And so for the Model 3, its range is going to be 321 miles because of a slightly smaller battery. That's down about 42 miles over the previously Premium rear-wheel drive. And the Model Y is also going to be 321 miles, which is down about 36 miles. In both these cases, they've also tweaked the motor, so we are seeing a reduction in performance of about 1 second and 1.5 seconds, 0 to 60. And they've tweaked the recharging speed so that instead of hitting 250 kilowatts, you're going to get about 225 optimistically. Another thing is that they are going to be making the Model Y standard 18-inch tires, but they are giving high-efficiency EV tires. So what you should get is a thicker sidewall, maybe a slightly cushier ride, but you're going to have a reduction in the performance of the vehicle, at least when you're trying to take corners. Now, the biggest changes actually come to the Model Y, and with its recent redesign, it had this cool light bar that goes all the way across from side to side and across at the back. Well, they've deleted that. So it's going to be the biggest way to tell you're driving a Standard now is that you don't have those light bars across the front and the rear. The Model 3 didn't have the light bar, so it's really not much of a change on the exterior. But on the inside of the Model Y, they've also removed the rear passenger screen and its fancy rear ventilation, and they've replaced it with a pair of USB-C connections and manually adjusted second row vents. This has allowed them to redesign the center console to give the front seat passengers a little bit more storage space. Also on the inside, they've made some other changes, again, just purely to reduce the cost. They've reduced the number of speakers down to about 7. The perforated vegan leather now has cloth inserts in it, and the wraparound ambient lighting has been taken away, although you still get floorboard lighting and things like that. So lots of little changes. But one thing that didn't change, except it did, is driving me up the wall, is if you look at the redesigned Model 3, it has this panoramic sunroof, and they show it in their pictures. But the pictures for the new Standard Edition Model Y, they carefully do not show the roof. The reason is this: Tesla left the panoramic sunroof, but covered it on the inside of the car with the headliner. The sunroof is there, but you can't actually see it. And they said this is because it was less expensive to go ahead and put glass in than to redo the entire top of the car with all new stampings. So I have a problem with that. Number one, glass is heavier, so you're keeping more weight up here. You missed an opportunity to lighten out the roof of the car and make it ever so slightly more tossable. But the second thing is I hear sunroof, and I always think long-term leak potential. And so now you've got a sunroof, no ability to enjoy it, and a headliner, which means it's going to be trapping any water that comes in. I also wonder about moisture getting trapped in between that layer. making a less expensive vehicle by reducing the content, that makes sense. But just covering up what's there, that is cheap engineering. That was cheapening out. And that's an egregious error in my book. Now, like I said at the beginning, analysts have not been receiving this very well because, well, these prices are going to be about $5,000 less than the next level up, okay? All right, so the Model 3 is going to be $38,630, which is $5,500 less than the next model, and the Model Y is going to be $41,630, or $5,000 less than the next level Model Y. The problem is a month ago, you could buy one and get $7,500 off with all the goodies. Now you're getting $5,000 off for less. So analysts are thinking this is not going to move the needle very much. And remember, they came out with a cheaper Cybertruck and canceled that plan about 5 months later because nobody wanted it. And so what the market needs and what analysts are talking about is there needs to be that sub $30,000 Tesla, and they're just not pursuing it. I guess we as buyers who may be considering EVs, well, it's the Leaf and the Bolt when the Bolt gets released. So I question them putting the effort into actually doing this, and how many sales. I don't think it's going to move the needle at all. And specifically for that Model Y, decontenting, but still not making it feel like a stripper, that's okay. Putting the sunroof in and just telling customers, sorry, you can't see it because you didn't pay $5,000 more, that's just cheap. And that to me is just a smack in the face to their buyers. Let me know what you think below, guys. Thanks for being here.